What's up, guys? Coach Jimmy here from Modern Athlete Strength. Today I'm going to be covering concurrent training. It's sometimes called hybrid training now. It's the new buzzword, but at the end of the day, it started with concurrent training. So the way we talk about that is basically balancing and training multiple qualities within a phase. So in this case, it's strength and conditioning. Okay, so how do you do that? That's where it gets a little tricky. But it's necessary for if anybody's come from an athletic background, whether in strength and conditioning coach at the collegiate or professional sector, or if you were a college or even a high school athlete, you've had to train strength, but also train conditioning as well, because both of those qualities are very important for athletic performance. So that's really how it got popularized, and now it's even more popular, especially for the tactical population, that has to be strong, but also has to have a high level of aerobic fitness and anaerobic fitness. Whether you're law enforcement, fire, military, whatever the case may be, really important to have a balance of both the strength side as well as the conditioning side. So the one thing you got to worry about is the interference effect. So basically, one of those qualities affecting the other. So if you have a high volume of running and then you're trying to compete in a powerlifting meet, probably not the best way to go. You can't, I use this analogy all the time, but you can't get two doctorates at the same time. I'm sure there's somebody out there who has, but I don't recommend it. So same thing when it comes to strength and conditioning. You can still be working multiple qualities, but something has to take priority. So if we're trying to get strong, we're really trying to put our efforts towards building strength, but we're not going to be neglecting our endurance side of things as well. It's just you have to manage the volume and the expectations for the outcome of the program. If it's a 12-week cycle and you're trying to move the needle on your big three lifts, that's all well and good, but don't expect to be running a marathon at the end of the 12 weeks while really trying to push the strength as well. You can still, and then on the opposite side, if you're training for a long distance event, you can still have strength work, but just understand what's going to take priority. Conditioning will take the priority if you're doing a conditioning based event. So really important to understand those things because they can interfere. And if you're trying to build both at the same time, like to a really high level, you really have to manage those stressors within a cycle. So how do you minimize the interference? Basically separating the days. So we typically like to, when I say we, us coaches at Modern Athlete, we typically like to balance strength days and conditioning days. There are some days where we have a hybrid, but for the most part, let's say you have a strength day one, then it would be followed with conditioning and basically just alternating throughout the week. As I mentioned before, you have to prioritize what is the most important in that cycle. Is it strength or is it endurance? And then limit any excess intensity. You don't want to be increasing intensity of both volume in the weight room and volume with conditioning as well within the same cycle. You can, if it's like an easier pace zone 2 type cardio, but if it is more advanced or higher heart rates or faster pace runs, you have to be cognizant of that. So really important just so we can minimize the effect of the interference there. Here's an example of how we typically do it. So if this is a weekly layout, Monday is a total body strength session. I tend to use with Lunch Pail, I tend to use the tier system model. So the total lower upper approach. So that would be your Monday or your day one strength. And then that's followed by on Tuesday, some sort of endurance training. So whether this is just an example, but 400 meter repeats, 800 meter repeats. If you're training for athletics, this may be speed and agility, things like that. Just working on different qualities for your sport. Then after that, it would be followed by another total body strength session. There's a lot of different ways to train total body strength. I've covered these in previous presentations as well. So if you want to look at those, feel free to do so. But Wednesday is a total body strength session, followed by Thursday, a conditioning session or endurance session. This could be high intensity interval sessions or just regular intervals. It could be mile repeats. It could be threshold runs. Or on the athletic based side of things, half gassers, 300-yard shuttles, or sport specific energy system development. Whatever the sport is, that's where and whatever the demands of that sport are, that's where you would work on the conditioning qualities to be successful in that sport. Friday, followed by another total body strength session. And then Saturday, bookending the week with some long, low intensity, long, slow, steady state cardio. And that could be easy pace runs. That could be low impact cardio, whether it's on a bike, rower, ski erg, stair stepper, you name it. It can go there, as well as rucking, as long as it's not run rucking. That obviously wouldn't be a productive, easy pace day or a recovery day. And then Sunday is your active recovery or your rest day. So this is an example of what concurrent training typically would look like. And then I'm going to cover in future presentations the periodization model that we use. And that's usually either daily undulating periodization, weekly undulating periodization, or session undulating periodization. And I'll cover that in a future episode here. But this is a general structure without getting into the X's and O's of exercises. This just gives you an idea of what a week could look like. All right. And then again, just best practices when thinking about concurrent training, just managing the intensity and the volume, making sure you're not raising the intensity and the volume of either the strength or the conditioning piece at the same time. You can increase let's say you're increasing your intensity in the weight room, like the actual intensity weight on the bar. You can do that while building out like long, slow cardio, but you don't want to do a ramp up of high intensity in the weight room as well as high intensity sprints, things like that when you're doing conditioning. It's always important to incorporate deloads. Some people do deloads on week 3, some people do week 4, but just incorporating deloads to allow your body to adapt to the stimulus and to recover. And then just like we talked about, just balancing the expectations based on what the goal of the program is. Okay. And then just the key takeaways here, again, concurrent training or hybrid training, whatever you want to call it, is basically building strength and conditioning within the same cycle. Okay. Very effective for athletes, tactical professionals, and anybody that just wants to put an importance on building strength and conditioning. Personally, I think everybody should be training like this. I don't think you should have a point in time where you're neglecting your cardio, regardless of your profession. I think everybody, for longevity, I think it's really important to have a balance of it all, just doing it the right way. And then just obviously structuring the workouts so you're not having an interference effect with the strength and the conditioning side of things. Because again, going back to it, can't get 2 doctorates at the same time. You also shouldn't be competing in a powerlifting meet and running a marathon in the same cycle. You can do it all, but just doing it the right way. Okay, so that just covers the breakdown of concurrent training. I'm going to follow these up with some more future videos as far as periodization and how to go about doing that, like how to build concurrent training while using different periodization models. So hopefully you guys got something out of this. Feel free to reach out to us at Modern Athlete Strength, and look forward to seeing you guys soon. Thanks.